Welcome to District Command Central, your go-to source for the latest news and updates on the Washington Commanders. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell, so you never miss a play. The Washington Commanders may be sitting at 3-8 on their bye week. But if you think that means the franchise is entering a quiet stretch of the season, think again. Washington is basically living in that strange NFL reality where the team isn't winning games. Yet somehow they're at the center of all the league's whispers, rumors, and long-term plot twists. And this week, those plot twists point directly towards something that could define their entire 2026 season. The very real possibility that Jayden Daniels finally gets the offensive weapon he's been openly dreaming about. Yes, it's looking more and more like the Commanders will enter the offseason as heavy favorites to sign none other than Brandon Aiyuk, the star wide receiver who also happens to be Daniels' best friend. And the story of how we got here is absolutely wild. For months, Washington fans have been complaining that this roster desperately needs more firepower on both sides of the ball. That much is obvious to anyone who has watched the team grind through injuries, inconsistency, and growing pains around a young quarterback. But this year, as the Commanders continue to monitor matchups across the league that could influence their positioning in the 2026 NFL Draft, a different kind of opportunity is emerging, one that doesn't require a trade, draft capital, or even a risky gamble. It's the kind of scenario teams dream about, a proven playmaker landing directly into their lap, simply because another franchise let the relationship crumble. And right now, the San Francisco 49ers look like they're about to give Washington that gift. The divorce between Brandon Aiyuk and the 49ers didn't just happen overnight. It has been simmering, bubbling, and boiling for well over a year. This is a player who signed a massive 4-year, $120 million extension just 15 months ago. The type of deal that usually signals a long-term partnership. Instead, it became the starting point of a slow and painful fallout. Aiyuk suffered a brutal knee injury that has kept him off the field for over a year. And that injury became the catalyst for frustration, resentment, and eventually an irreparable fracture. His rehab was long, his absence grew noticeable, and the tension between him and the organization only grew stronger as communication deteriorated and trust evaporated. Then came the holdout, one of the most dramatic in recent NFL memory. Aiyuk didn't just quietly step away from team activities. He went loud. He went public. He appeared on shows with Jayden Daniels. He posted cryptic clips hinting at the possibility of joining Washington. He fueled rumors of potential trades to the Commanders and even the Pittsburgh Steelers. Every offseason moment became more theatrical. Every social media post felt like a calculated jab at the 49ers front office. It got to the point where the team reportedly voided his 2026 contract guarantees over $25 million because he skipped meetings, skipped activities, and essentially went rogue. That is not the kind of punishment teams hand out unless a relationship is completely beyond repair. And then Aiyuk made the point crystal clear, according to multiple league sources. He told NFLPA representatives that he had no intention of disputing the 49ers' decision to void his guaranteed money. He wasn't going to file a grievance. He wasn't going to fight it. He wasn't interested in clawing back the $25 million he was owed. That decision spoke louder than anything he's ever said on camera. A player who willingly walks away from that kind of guaranteed money is a player who is done with his team, finished, ready to move on without looking back. Now, with a release almost guaranteed once the season ends, Aiyuk is preparing to hit the open market. No trade required, no compensation necessary, no strings attached. And that is exactly why Washington instantly becomes the favorite, because suddenly, the one barrier that stopped the Commanders from pairing Daniels with his old college teammate is gone. The front office doesn't have to negotiate with San Francisco anymore. They just have to negotiate with Aiyuk, and Jayden Daniels might be the ultimate bargaining chip. Anyone who's followed the friendship between Daniels and Aiyuk already knows how deep it goes. These two aren't just former teammates at Arizona State, they're legitimately close. They show up together on shows like The Pivot. They post each other on social media constantly. They've joked about reuniting. They've teased the idea of teaming up again. And most importantly, Aiyuk himself has already said publicly that he would love to see what he could do with Daniels at the NFL level. That's not speculation. That's not rumor. That's straight from the source. He literally said, "There's a quarterback right there. I'm thinking about what I can do with him," when talking about his future outside San Francisco. Washington now finds itself in a perfect storm. The Commanders need receivers. Aiyuk wants out. Daniels wants Aiyuk. And the team can likely get him for a discount because he's already shown that money isn't his priority anymore. For Aiyuk, this is personal. It's about freedom. It's about fit. It's about being somewhere he feels valued, comfortable, and connected. And for the Commanders, it's about giving Daniels the weapons he needs to continue growing into the franchise star they believe he can become. Of course, nothing in the NFL is guaranteed. Aiyuk's knee will need to be medically cleared, his long-term durability will be scrutinized, and Washington will have to figure out its own situation at wide receiver. Terry McLaurin may be entering his final stretch with the team. As his next contract crossroads approaches, Deebo Samuel's future is uncertain as well, depending on how the front office wants to structure the roster financially, but none of that changes the calculus. Signing Aiyuk wouldn't prevent Washington from drafting another young receiver. It wouldn't force them to give up any draft capital, and it wouldn't lock them into anything long-term unless they choose to go that route. What it would do, however, is give Jayden Daniels exactly what the fanbase wants to give him, a playmaker who already knows him, trusts him, and fits his style. Someone who can turn explosive plays out of nothing. Someone who can win matchups against top corners. Someone who can instantly elevate the offense the moment he steps onto the field. And for a franchise trying to rebuild its identity, its culture, and its entire offensive core, that's the kind of move that can define an era. So as Washington enjoys this bye week, the conversation isn't about the losses, or the struggles, or the long season still ahead. It's about the future. It's about opportunity. And most importantly, it's about the kind of reunion that could change everything for the Commanders right now. All signs point to Brandon Aiyuk heading to Washington right now. The Commanders are the heavy favorites, and right now, Jayden Daniels is probably smiling somewhere, knowing that his guy might be on the way. If you're enjoying the coverage, make sure to smash that like button and drop a comment with your thoughts on the Commanders' latest moves. We want to hear from you. Hold on to your seats, sports fans, because the NFL world has just been rocked by a seismic shockwave, and if you blinked, you might have missed the headlines that are literally shaking the foundations of the league. Rumors are swirling with a level of intensity that rarely hits this late in the season, or maybe ever, because the whispers have materialized into what could be the most game-changing defensive acquisition in recent memory: the Commanders, a team that's been quietly plotting their rise to prominence behind the scenes, have apparently pulled off a move that's sending shockwaves across locker rooms, analyst studios, and fan bases alike. And the name that's on everyone's lips: Myles Garrett. Yes, the same Myles Garrett who has been a terror for offenses across the league. A force of nature with a combination of speed, power, and technique that has defenders trembling and quarterbacks losing sleep. Sources, some official, some closer to the rumor mill, are buzzing with confirmation that Garrett is now expected to suit up in the burgundy and gold. A scenario that until now seemed almost unimaginable. There's a sense of disbelief mingled with excitement, because when you think about the Commanders' recent draft strategies and roster moves, nothing quite hinted at this level of audacity. Imagine the locker room conversations that must be happening right now. The veterans, who have been battling week in and week out in a league where momentum is everything, are now processing the arrival of one of the premier pass rushers the sport has seen in recent years. And the rookies, well, for them, this is a moment of awe, almost like witnessing a superhero walk into the room. Someone whose highlight reels have been the stuff of legend since his draft day. Analysts are already speculating about the ripple effects this acquisition could have, not just in terms of sacks and pressures, but in how opposing offenses might have to reinvent their game plans. Overnight, there's talk of scheme adjustments, new blitz packages, and a seismic shift in defensive philosophy that could redefine the Commanders' identity for years to come. And while no official game plan has been leaked, though you know there are insiders working double shifts to decode every snippet of information, the mere presence of Garrett is enough to make coaches and coordinators across the league sit up straight and reassess their playbooks. The rumors suggest that this wasn't just a casual acquisition. Sources indicate months of negotiations, subtle maneuvers, and strategic patience that culminated in what can only be described as a masterstroke. Every layer of the front office seems to have been involved, every consultant looped in, every potential obstacle analyzed and overcome, which adds another layer of intrigue to an already explosive story. Fans have taken to social media in droves, with hashtags and fan accounts erupting into speculation, memes, and celebratory posts. You can practically feel the energy pulsing through platforms like Twitter, Instagram, and Reddit, as people debate not only what Garrett's arrival could mean statistically but also the psychological edge it might give the Commanders. Imagine the intimidation factor, a defensive line now anchored by one of the most fearsome pass rushers in the league, someone whose mere presence can alter the trajectory of games. Even before the ball is snapped, rumors even suggest that Garrett's leadership, something that's often overshadowed by his on-field dominance, could become a pivotal piece in shaping younger talent, mentoring up-and-comers, and instilling a culture of relentless pursuit on defense. And let's not ignore the broader implications. Rival teams are said to be scrambling, not just adjusting schemes, but perhaps reconsidering trades, free agency moves, and even draft strategies to counter what the Commanders have quietly assembled. It's like a chessboard where one unexpected move causes a cascade of strategy shifts. And now everyone's watching the burgundy and gold team with renewed, perhaps slightly fearful attention. What adds even more spice to this bubbling cauldron of speculation is the timing. League insiders hint at secret meetings, behind closed-door discussions, and high-stakes negotiations that stretch late into the night, creating an atmosphere of mystery and drama that feels like it was lifted straight from a blockbuster sports movie. There's even chatter that Garrett himself has been a pivotal voice in orchestrating this move, perhaps nudging the narrative along, weighing options, and making subtle demands that reflect his stature as one of the elite defensive forces of the era. And if you think this is only about on-field impact, think again. Sponsorship deals, merchandising, ticket sales, everything is poised for a ripple effect. Imagine the flood of jerseys bearing Garrett's name in burgundy and gold, the surge of viewership for televised games, and the electrifying energy that could fill stadiums across the league. The rumor mill suggests that the Commanders' marketing team might already be drafting campaigns that play up the drama of this signing, capitalizing on the fact that a defensive titan has joined their ranks. It's the kind of story that transcends X's and O's. It becomes a cultural moment, a talking point for fans, analysts, and casual observers alike. Even within the team itself, sources suggest an atmosphere of excitement and cautious optimism. Coaches are reportedly adjusting practice schedules to integrate Garrett's unique skill set, planning defensive rotations that maximize his disruptive ability, and experimenting with hybrid schemes that could make the Commanders one of the most unpredictable units in the league. Teammates are said to be buzzing, not just about the opportunity to play alongside a superstar, but also about the chance to elevate their own performances under his mentorship. The speculation doesn't stop there. Rumors are circulating about potential ripple effects in the AFC and NFC divisions, as rival teams start to rethink quarterback protection strategies, offensive line configurations, and even the types of plays they're willing to call. The word on the street is that this move could redefine rivalries, turning previously competitive matchups into intense, headline-grabbing clashes that fans will circle on calendars months in advance. It's as if the entire landscape of the league has shifted overnight, all because of one acquisition that seemed almost too audacious to be true. There's also an undercurrent of intrigue surrounding the contract details, with whispers of a deal structured to balance long-term commitment with immediate impact. Sources hint at clauses and incentives designed to reward performance while maintaining strategic flexibility for the Commanders' front office. A clever maneuver that has sports economists and analysts scratching their heads in admiration. The rumor mill even suggests that the deal could set a precedent for future defensive acquisitions, signaling a new era where top-tier talent can move with agility and precision, creating seismic shifts in team dynamics and competitive balance for fans. This is a tantalizing prospect, a team not just willing to spend money, but willing to think strategically, take calculated risks, and redefine what a franchise can achieve in the modern NFL. The buzz online is palpable, with comment sections, podcasts, and fan forums exploding with predictions, hypothetical matchups, and passionate debates over what Garrett's presence will mean on Sundays. Some are already envisioning defensive highlights that will dominate social media for months, envisioning game-changing sacks, forced fumbles, and pressures that disrupt entire offensive schemes. And even though nothing has been officially confirmed by league headquarters yet, the sheer volume of corroborating whispers, insider hints, and near-official leaks gives the story an authenticity that's hard to ignore. Meanwhile, the cultural impact cannot be overstated. Beyond the X's and O's, beyond the immediate tactical advantage. The narrative of the Commanders landing a player of Garrett's caliber is electrifying. It's a story of ambition, strategic patience, and the willingness to make bold moves in the face of uncertainty, a story that resonates with fans who crave drama, excellence, and the unexpected. The chatter suggests that Garrett's move could become a defining moment in his career as well, one that cements his legacy not just as a dominant pass rusher, but as a transformative figure capable of altering the trajectory of an entire franchise. Rumors also hint at potential ripple effects in the locker room, with team dynamics, leadership hierarchies, and mentorship roles being subtly reshaped to accommodate the arrival of such a force. The excitement is almost palpable, a cocktail of anticipation, speculation, and sheer disbelief that this kind of blockbuster move could happen, and yet it has. If the rumors hold true and the sources are far from shy about their confidence, then the Commanders may have just signaled to the league that they're no longer willing to play the waiting game. They're here to compete, to dominate, and to send a message that when it comes to defensive firepower, they are no longer to be underestimated. In the end, whether you're a fan, an analyst, or just someone who enjoys the thrill of NFL gossip, this development is impossible to ignore. The swirling rumors, the cascading effects, the potential for a season defined by strategic brilliance and jaw-dropping plays at all points to a narrative that's just beginning to unfold. Myles Garrett to the Commanders, if it's true, isn't just a trade or a signing, it's a seismic event. A story that will dominate headlines, ignite debate, and keep fans glued to their screens for months to come. And as the NFL landscape braces for the implications, one thing is clear: this rumor has already changed the conversation, and if the whispers are right, we're about to witness one of the most electrifying chapters in league history. The drama is real, the stakes are sky high, and the league may never look the same again. Thanks for tuning into District Command Central. Make sure to subscribe and follow us for all the Commanders news you need. Until next time, keep the faith and hail to the Commanders.